Andrew Tate and his brother Tristan Tate were arrested last weekend in Miami. They're now facing dozens of charges between them, which include rape, sex trafficking, and indecent images of a child. There'll now be a legal battle where they try to avoid being extradited back to the UK, where they need to face these charges. The UK have clearly had a change of heart and has decided that potential rapists are now worth prosecuting, referring to, of course, the literal rape gangs run by Pakistani Muslims in the UK that their pathetic police force and government failed to do anything about because of the fear of being called racist, or while actually being racist to the victims who were coming forward for help. But here is a potential rapist that they did manage to arrest, while America arrested on their behalf. Now, Tate and his brother, of course, deny all these charges and they plead their innocence and have predictably claimed through their lawyer that this is all just an attempt to shut down their free speech and is a political attack. His lawyer is quite something, actually. He comes across as more like an angry PR fanboy of the Tates than a professional defense lawyer. But no doubt the team of lawyers that Tates have paid for are the best money can buy. Maybe they just do things differently over there in the States. I'd be interested to see how he would carry himself in the courtroom in front of a judge, but here he is, Mr. PR himself, for the Tates after their arrest in Miami.
We are, of course, objecting to extradition because Andrew and Tristan are innocent. They've never done nothing wrong. They shouldn't be extradited.
Never done nothing wrong.
For crimes they did not commit. They're entitled to have their day of court that we've been litigating the case for 3 years in Palm Beach County in Florida. So we're fighting extradition. We've assembled a team here. These are from the Roy Black's prestigious firm. The Honorable and since passed on Roy Black, he's a legend, and they're here. They have joined our team. We have a competent team. We have a wonderful team. We're looking forward to getting the best possible result under the sun.
He motions to both sides as if these are the amazing lawyers we have, and off to his right shoulder is Justin Waller, who is just a manosphere influencer and scam artist like Andrew and Tristan.
Proceedings have now started.
I don't even know why he's standing there. He's just standing there for the image of it all. It's bizarre.
Started in this courtroom, so I am less liberal with what I'm able to say. But if you have any questions for me, I'll do my best to answer them in a way that's respectful of your time, of our time, and of the court processes. The allegations, their first reaction to the allegations is the first reaction that any innocent man or woman would have. It's garbage. It's a stitch-up job. They're after us to punish us with the process. The process is the punishment. When you drag somebody's name through the media, when you slander them, when you defame them, when you accuse them of heinous and terrible allegations, the process becomes the punishment until you can clear your name. They've been clearing their names domestically and abroad for years. This is just the next logical conclusion in that situation. Keir Starmer just retired or is retiring. I'm sure he's mad that Andrew and Tristan Tate had a lot to do with his fall in Great Britain. And there's a new guy in there right now. But this is the last vestige of attack of a prime minister who didn't do a good job, and he continues to do bad work, and I'll just leave it there. Innocent until proven guilty.
Those are some pretty crazy allegations from supposed, I mean, clearly he is a defense lawyer, but it's very unprofessional and bizarre behavior.
We're going to let the court process play out here the way that it should. We're happy to be here. Politically motivated? I think any one of these trees, any one of these rocks could answer that question. Yes, it's politically motivated. There's no question about it.
There could be plenty of people that would have something to gain politically or don't like Andrew and Tristan for political reasons, but the question just comes down to, are there real victims with credible and real complaints, and do those victims deserve to have their charges put before the court?
These guys went to D.C. to exercise their First Amendment rights. They met with members of Congress as private citizens. They met with friends in Washington, D.C. They walked the grounds of the Capitol, and 3 days later, they're in the jumpsuit. You do the math. And that's the truth. I believe that my clients have support from every person who's a reasonably minded person, whether they're in the United States or abroad, elected or not elected. Everybody knows that Andrew and Tristan Tate are innocent.
Again, that's a wild statement to make for a defense lawyer. Everybody knows that they're innocent, even though they've been on camera telling the world what they've been doing for a long time. But everyone knows they're innocent.
Sure, you don't have to have an intersection between politics and criminal charges.
It's so funny having Justin Waller standing there as if he's some lawyer or someone that's actually going to be able to help in the situation.
There to be a stitch-up job here. The man that I voted for office, who's currently in office, had millions of charges slandered against him all over the place. Some of them he beat, some of them he didn't beat. Most people who understand the process know that that was a load of crap. Most people who see this for what it is know that it is the same exact thing. We haven't been accused of anything of substance here. We're American citizens. We operate freely. We operate as law-abiding people. We went to see our Congress people in D.C. and now we're getting arrested. This feels political, and of course they didn't like it. No innocent man likes getting taken to jail. It's a horrible situation.
Guilty men don't like getting taken to jail either, by the way.
But we're going to do everything that we can do with this wonderful team that we've assembled here to get them out.
This wonderful team of a few lawyers and Justin Waller. Despite what you just heard from their lawyer, the unfortunate truth for the Tate brothers and those that look up to them, and most tragically of all for their many victims, the evidence continues to be mounted against them. And all these charges could be successfully defended, but would still know enough about the Tate brothers, Andrew being the worst of the two, that they should not be held up as any kind of role model or conservative political voice. Unfortunately, they've not only forged their own way into the online space, in which millions of young men have been influenced by them, but they've also been platformed by members of what could be referred to as the woke right, or the horseshoe right, the increasingly anti-Semitic, once trusted voices of people like Candace Owens and Tucker Carlson. Here are both of those people having nice, friendly chats with Andrew, helping put him forward as some misunderstood, masculine hero of virtue.
A pleasure, Tristan Tate.
It's so
Real
nice to meet you.
Great to meet you too,
what a
man.
trip
I'm a huge admirer.
Wow, man.
How you doing, man?
This is like...
You're the famous one, bro. You're the famous one. Not me. I've never been starstruck in my life. But, you know, here I am.
Hey, Tucker Carlson.
Justin Waller,
Nice to meet you. Are you American?
Yes, very.
What are you doing here?
I got a couple friends. You know, one that flew over across the world to go to jail.
Yeah.
Describe it as the Matrix. I think that actually is the right term. Is that the Matrix works overtime to make it seem as though the people who recognize the insanity, recognize the homosexuality, recognize the pedophilia are in fact the people that are crazy. Like it's a complete inversion of what's actually happening.
And the saddest thing is that it works.
The madness of sitting there with Andrew Tate and talking about sexual misconduct and the destruction of the West is so ridiculous to me. It's amazing that they could even keep straight faces for that conversation. But this is something that conservatives need to be very careful of. An enemy of our enemy is not necessarily our friend. Just because Tate rails against feminism and ridicules the woke stupidity does not mean that they are some conservative voice that deserves a platform or our respect. Just because he tells men to be men, unlike a world around them, which would much prefer for them to be women or gay, or at least as feminine as possible, does not mean that Andrew Tate is a healthy, eat the fish and spit out the bones type role model for young men. Because even if we were to look at the charges they're facing in Romania, which are technically still pending, and all these new charges from the UK, all these victims, potential video evidence, say none of it sticks, and it's all part of some multi-government political attack to silence the Tate brothers, which as you can probably tell I'm not really buying, but say that is the case, because they are to be presumed innocent until proven guilty by the courts, and the public should remember that. But say they are never convicted of any criminal offence, they're not found to be rapists, sex traffickers, and child abusers. Just from what they've told us about themselves, that should be enough for us to push them out of any conservative community. Andrew Tate would boast quite proudly about how they made their money. They exploited women on their webcam business using what has been referred to as the lover boy method, where young, impressionable girls are dated by older men and convinced that they have a future together. And then when the girls are encouraged or sometimes even forced to engage in explicitly sexual material online, the brothers make a lot of money from it. And they're very proud of the money they were making and how easy it was to get these girls to do whatever they wanted them to do. And this is why I say there is nothing Christian or even conservative about their behavior. Andrew, by the way, says he's a Muslim. Tristan Tate claims now to be a Christian, which is a topic for another day. So now there'll be long, drawn-out legal battles over the nature of consent in these very complicated and vulnerable situations these women found themselves in. And these masculine, anti-feminist men will do what they've done in the past and hide behind their feminist worldview. They'll say, what do you mean we manipulated these women? They're strong, independent women, capable of making their own decisions. What do you mean that there was something wrong with having sex with all these women to get them to fall in love with us? What is this outdated Christian ethic you're trying to bring into the modern world? These women should be liberated to do whatever they want. And if that means having sex with us and posting themselves online to make a bunch of money, well then we should really be praised because look at us providing women with these great income opportunities while simultaneously liberating them from this misogynistic oppression that's tried to stop women from doing whatever they want with their bodies. And the West has fallen so far that hiding behind these feminist taglines has actually been somewhat successful for the Tates. We'll see if it's enough to get them off their criminal charges, only time will tell there. But either way, these men are not role models. They used young women and exploited them for money. And they use young men and exploit them for money with their Hustlers University. Yes, that's actually what it's called. I spoke about this in my review of the Manosphere. They charge men a subscription fee, promising that they will escape the matrix and earn unlimited amounts of money like them, drive all the same cars, have access to all the women they could ever want. This, of course, doesn't actually happen, but it makes Andrew and his buddies very rich, as men pay significant sums of money every month to be fed false hope that the secret to finding the pot of gold is just a few more clicks away, just a few more promotions of the Tate Brothers away. This, of course, along with their general playboy lifestyle these men have lived for many years, is not at all compatible with the conservative worldview. These men are not conservative voices. They are not role models to anyone, and they may well be found to be criminals of the worst kind. But that remains to be determined in the court of law. Unfortunately, though, what the Tates have exposed is a failure among conservatives and Christians to have adequately supported and defended young men from feminism and progressivism, which has ripped through the culture and also, unfortunately, through our churches. And so what the Tates were offering was this hedonistic masculinity, but at least it was something. At least they weren't being told explicitly or implicitly to be more feminine. Many men have had the experience of growing up in a modern evangelical church, and they're told that to be a godly man simply means to be the nicest guy at your church, and that there is nothing unique that they can bring to the church or to the family that the woman in their life can't also bring, and probably bring in a better way. So, in case I'm being unclear, I'm convinced that egalitarianism, which is really just feminism with a Christian label on it, has been fertile ground for men like Andrew Tate to have been able to grow up with inside the church. Men haven't been taught genuine biblical masculinity. And so the sinful version that the Tates offer has seemed even more attractive to young men than it already would have been. And at the same time, the Tates are standing up for young men against feminism, against the woke mind virus, while many churches are too scared to say anything about it and just hide behind the fact that, well, we just preach the gospel. Well, for as long as the government allows us to preach the gospel and allows us to open our doors, we don't actually apply it to the world we live in, regardless of how it might offend people. We just tell people Jesus loves you, and we tell ourselves that we haven't fallen under the spirit of the age as long as we don't have a pride flag outside our church window. And this might sound a bit harsh, but I believe it's necessary to have these types of conversations, and the Tate brothers are proof of this. There should not have been an Andrew Tate-sized gap in the church amongst boys and young men. There should not have been enough good advice and solid moral standing that Tates were offering that wasn't already being given to young men in spades by their church community. And young men need to be taught what being a man according to the word of God is, so they can spot a counterfeit hedonistic playboy like Andrew Tate from a mile away. So when young men ask the question of their parents, their elders, or their pastors, what does it mean to grow up to be a man according to the word of God? They need to be given better answers than the type of moral character their grandma could have. That answer can't stop at the fruit of the Spirit. That answer can't be the same to that young man as it would have been to a young woman. Or the Tates of this world will still have something to attract our young men with. So, we don't know if this is the end of the Tates, if these charges will stick and they are proven guilty and spend significant time in prison, whether that's in the UK or Romania or both. But what it should be is the end of anyone who claims to be conservative looking up to these men, platforming these men, or seeing them as any kind of ally. Pray for the Tates that Tristan's conversion is real, and that Andrew repents and humbles himself under the kingship of Christ, that the Lord would somehow bring good from the pain that has been brought to many people, all the victims that have been created because of the behavior of the Tates. Their deeply immoral behavior. And that a genuine, fair trial can take place, and that justice in the situation will be done.